Marvellous. How is everyone out here? It's been a really long, hot day, but I think you're about to be rewarded for this panel. It's a very special panel. I like to think it's the afternoon delight. First of all, I'd like to introduce an absolute juggernaut of the music industry. He was there at the dawn of hip hop. He's run independent labels. He's run major labels. He's launched labels, and now he's the global head of music at YouTube. Please welcome the legendary Lyor Cohen. And the young man next to me, I'd like to introduce. He's an Australian artist. He's already had a taste of the bright lights. He has more than 600,000 Facebook followers, and he has an absolutely enormous amount of potential. So please welcome Tom J. Williams.
Thank you. Hey guys, how you doing?
So Tom, when you arrived in Singapore last night, you had a fan base waiting for you. There were fans.
It was kind of crazy. It was like 11:30 or something, and yeah, there was fans at the airport, which was a unique experience, I guess, especially being in a different territory, you know.
That never happens to me at Singapore Airport.
I'm sure it does.
But it's important to note that Asia is very much part of your plan. It's no surprise that you're being mobbed at Singapore Airport because you are looking at Asia as a market to break into.
Absolutely. You know, previously working with bands, the focus has been Asia. I guess since then, you know, moving forward, it's been good to target that, and it's been proven that it's working. You know, so why avoid it? Why not go straight for the jugular? I love the guys around here, and they're super supportive. So we're just going to keep hacking at it, I guess. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, Lyor, I'd like to bring you into this, and I'd like to know you've worked with so many great artists over the years, and we have a young artist. You're 25.
Yes.
And in a moment, I'll ask you a little bit more about your background with reality TV and the making of you as a young man. But Lyor, what is it that you look for in a young artist who has talent to spare? But is there an X factor you're looking for?
So I think that everybody has a completely different orientation to what they look for. I'm an old road manager. So my first successes was putting an artist on a stage with the right moment in time, best sound system and lights. The audience was ready, and then they performed and killed it. And so I remember that. The band, my first job was road managing Run DMC. So I started with a really good performing band. So my whole life, the way that I try to find an artist and see that thing is about the personal experience and their performance. So that's, you know, if I was an A&R person, I may be a more sonic song person than a performance person, but my orientation has always come from the live experience. So I think it's, to me, meeting an artist, talking to an artist, understanding if the artist is truthful, because to me that's essential, and if they can actually deliver on stage, and if they have some sort of presence. I like to say that the presence is so profound that even my mother would say, that person is something different about that person. So that's what I do.
So Tom has experience. You were an Australian Idol alum.
It
was. Age 16, I believe, and you were chewed out on live TV by one of the judges. But I wonder what that experience taught you about this tricky business of pop music.
Absolutely. I mean, starting from a young age, I was the youngest Idol finalist in the world. I just turned 16, so I was like literally fresh out of 16. It grows your skin very quickly. You know, as you said, getting not so nice comments back then on some of the performances was hard for a young, I guess, child at that age to deal with, especially under the scrutiny of Australia, let alone the people watching on YouTube or wherever that it's, you know, simulcasting everywhere. So it definitely prepared me mentally for what was going to come. I guess at the same time, you can probably say that, you know, being in that world right then and there, you think you've made it. You're like, oh my God, I've done it. Holy cow, you know, like I'm on television, I'm singing, you know, people love me, I go everywhere, they scream, and then as soon as it finishes, it's gone. And you're like, oh, shivers, okay. Back to the drawing board, you know, and that's where it really comes into play is to, you know, you've networked, you've met your people, and now it's time to really dive in and make use of that. And, you know, that's still been almost 8, 9, 10 years ago now. Yeah, so I'm only finally now getting to the place I really am happy and working with a team that I'm super, super happy with doing the music I love.
Look, we'll go back to that team in a moment.
Yeah.
Because you really blew apart the old team and rebuilt from scratch. Yeah. But Lyor, I wonder, as in an A&R sense, is the road through reality TV a challenging one? Is it a poison chalice, or does it not matter so much anymore?
I never cared for it. I thought it was always better television than a place to find artists. I've had numerous opportunities to buy American Idol or those at the companies that I was working for, and always passed because I felt like you are circumventing the critical role of artist development, and you're, like I said, it's much better television than it is a way of discovering talent. And yes, it came out the gate and a couple artists were discovered, but if you take a look at all the hours that were dedicated to such massive audiences around the world, and it almost, there's not that many artists that actually broke and are sustained and are part of the ecosystem of the music business. So I think television got the best part of it, and so I never cared about it, never looked at it. For me, it was always sad. It was sad for me that these shows had so much, you know, these kids had so much hope and desire. They actually desire to be an artist, and this vehicle was really like blood-sucking.
I spent some time with Tom this morning, and I can attest to Tom's interest in the building of his own career. He's not just sort of waiting for it to happen. You're guiding this beast. Lyor, I know you're about to take a sip of water, which is probably the right thing to do in this hot climate, but from your experience working with artists, are you seeing more and more interest from the artist in their own career, or do they still look after the creative and not worry about the rest of it?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
The question is, it almost comes back to a DIY ethos and
Okay.
an artist now thinking about all elements of their career and not just the music making.
So I don't think there's a cookie cutter approach to the type of artist that resonates with me. There's some artists that have a profound interest in DIY or DIY and are acutely aware of all the aspects of the business. And there are others that just want to sing and write songs. And I appreciate both of them. I just don't appreciate any fraudulent behavior where they act like they're about the whole thing, but they're actually not. So, you know, thing already, that the fact that you had the tenacity to stay in it after, you know, your TV appearance is something that I look for, because I had a theory and spent a lot of time signing dropped acts. I loved signing dropped acts. They were humbled. They usually signed to a bidding war. And what happens in a bidding war is the companies start wanting to beat the other company. They forgot the reason why they fell in love with signing the artist. And typically, the manager and the lawyer run up the price. Of course, they get commissions on it. And then all of a sudden, the A&R guy and president that greenlit that deal suddenly are the winners. And now you have to actually produce. And so they usually put too much heat on the project, too much, and instead of, you know, when Michael Jordan gets the ball at the last second, he's in the most zen state. And what happens when a label wins a bidding war, they are not in a zen state. Everything is a priority. This artist is a priority. We have to knock it out the fence. This has to win. And that's typically not how an artist becomes successful. It needs a certain maturation period and incubation period. And so I had a theory. I'm going to just look for those bidding war acts that had too much heat in the building, because remember, you start with a very heavy red balance. And so there's a lot of pressure. And so a lot of people may not know Bruno Mars was dropped. Okay? I could run down the list of dropped artists. Jay-Z had one album at priority. Fun was dropped. The list goes on and on and on. Mariah Carey was dropped after they paid her $106 million to go away.
That was the EMI deal.
Yeah. So I just, you know, it's like, to me, when I sign a dropped artist that I love, they tend to want to fight through it. And I like fighters. I like people who, it's almost a natural vetting process, like artists that get dropped and they just, fuck it, go to college. Okay, I don't have to fuck with them. So those that are actually get dropped and still feel that their purpose is to sing or perform, to me, that's a meaningful. I really had a big career based on dropped acts. I have so many great stories of them.
Well, there's a story of Michael Jordan being dropped at high school, but I think that story has been exposed as a myth. I think it would be wrong of us to not play some music. We're at a music conference, and it is all about the music. Team, could we please line up Closure? We'll watch this, some of the music video, and Lyor, I'd like to get your thoughts on it and the music, and then we'll talk a little about the relationship between Tom and YouTube and the creation of these videos.
Fantastic. Hopefully, spirit all I need. We're going in here? Yep. Yeah. Hi, how are you? Sorry, it did. It hurt so bad. Final performance. A little bit of volume.
We'll decide how dark you want to go. Number 3, just
No, my this we can kind of. Maybe you're not sold on the camera.
move a lot, I know.
Thank you, everybody.
Alright, Closure, scene 1, take 3.
We got a little bit casual. We kinda let things slide. Got a little too comfortable. Didn't see all the warning signs. You told me all of your secrets. I told you all of mine. So you know I bruise easily, and it's hard moving on to the other side. Don't say I might be the one when we said it's over. Can we get a little closure? Can we get a little closure? Can we get a little closure? 'Cause I need it, yeah, I need it. I can take it a little longer. I can feel it getting over. Can we get a little closure? 'Cause I need it, do you need it? We keep on acting like animals when we're face to face. And I know it's not rational, but I pray that it's just a phase. Maybe we should be logical and let the feelings fade. It's not easy to think, you know, when you feel like your heart's an eternal flame. Don't say I might be the one when we said it's over. Can we get a little closure? Can we get a little closure? Can we get a little closure? 'Cause I need it, yeah, I need it. I can take it a little longer. I can feel it getting over. Can we get a little closure? 'Cause I need it, do you need it? Is there any way that I can never let you go? I won't, for sure. If we never find a way to let this feeling go and close the door, will I ever find a way to let you go? I won't, for sure. If we never find a way to let this feeling go and close the door, don't
Great.
say
Okay, if we can come back to
I'ma
the
be
stage.
the one when we.
So that's a bit of a taste of Tom J. Williams, Lyor. Do you like what you see there?
Yeah, I like what I see. You know, I'm not a great expert on pop music. It's not really been something that I've spent an enormous amount of success or time. I've always been kind of afraid of pop music. I've loved always coming from a different format like rap or rock, just because I've always looked at coming from other formats that I could build an audience, a more specific audience in a you know, without necessarily, pop is so broad and wide that you actually have to spend an enormous amount of money, and you have to have a lot of resources. And I've always felt like if I could come from the fringes and build something and then import it into pop, that's felt like a easier place for me to be and operate in. Certainly, you know, pop music is the one that travels the world the most. So the upside tends to be bigger. I just have been always kind of not trusting myself because of my background and where I've come from. So, you know, I'm really kind of an out-of-towner. So, you know, like the most dangerous advice could come from an out-of-towner. So I do feel that the most critical thing about pop music is the song. It's essential. You can't. It's the thing that is, and you can't be really good. It's got to be magnificent song in order, because it really tends not to actually put asses in seats till the very highest part of the chart. So you could really have a successful record and still very few people end up showing up. And you have to keep coming back. So you have to be brave and tenacious, and you have to find really magnificent songs. It's like a really critical part of that style of music.
Pop is expensive to get away.
Very.
And right now, Australians are struggling to crack their own singles chart. We have 4 Australian tracks on this week's singles chart. The highest is Vance Joy at number 25. So
Where the singles?
the Australia's singles chart.
Wow. So
It's a real challenge.
where are all the other records coming from?
America and Britain right now.
Oh.
That's where the vast
Well, I
majority
thought
of records.
Australia looked after their own.
It's very complicated, and we can probably go into it a little bit more in the keynote session tomorrow night. But the albums chart is different. The Australian albums perform well, but
Yeah,
the singles chart is dominated by international hits.
I thought you had quotas.
We have quotas, and again, it becomes complicated because the commercial networks who are obligated to buy into the quotas as part of their licensing arrangements find very clever ways to bypass the quotas by playing back-to-back veteran acts after midnight. So,
Oh, that's a mistake. So sorry to hear that.
yeah, but we'll go into it tomorrow. I think
Okay.
that's a great topic for
Okay.
tomorrow night. But pop's challenging. It's challenging and it's expensive, and it's very challenging from an independent perspective. And you're going through an independent machine, one that you've built
Definitely.
really around you. I mentioned earlier you blew up the previous team, and you've got an excellent team around you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the team that I was with, so I was in just so everyone is aware, I was in a boy band. We were called At Sunset, and we had relative success throughout Asia. And we were working with Warners on that. It was great. It was a good time. But it just wasn't really what I wanted to do. It was 2 brothers and myself, and we weren't really gelling. And I think music's all about passion. It's not about money for me, although you need to make it to keep it going. If I'm playing a piano anywhere, I'm happy, you know what I mean? And I think that was the big problem with that project, was that I wasn't happy. The team was just, not to spit on anybody, but it just wasn't working, you know what I mean? So I took about 8 months off just to kind of gather myself. I taught some kids, piano and vocals, and just took some time off from the industry because I'd been pretty much flat out from Idol. So then, I had the opportunity to meet my team now, which is great. Troy, Paul, with the organics of that, and now it's broadened out. I'm working with Emma Barnes, who is my social, who also does Troy Sivan, and is behind that. So that's really exciting. I've always found that social media is an incredibly important part in growing a record and an artist, and it's played an integral part in my career at this present point in time. Yeah, so it's
I think the Troy Sivan connection is pretty important, because Troy went from being a bedroom producer in
Right.
Perth to this within the space of 15 months, accumulating millions of viewers on his YouTube channel, which is a free
Right.
tool. And I looked at his Billboard numbers the other day. He had 3 top 10s on the Billboard 200 albums chart within 15 months.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awards around the world. It's an incredible story. And he did it really through YouTube and his own talent, using the tools at his fingertips.
Absolutely. Well, I remember watching Troy in my bedroom, watching YouTube probably 5 or 6 years ago. And as you said, he was filming YouTube videos in his bedroom. But then I actually remember the moment he got cast on Wolverine. He was the young kid on Wolverine. I was like, this kid's going to go somewhere, and he's been found through YouTube. This is sick. This is really cool. But, he was just doing covers. So that really built him a profile. I do know that it was also really difficult for him to get out of the covers world. Him doing so many covers that it was hard for labels to take him seriously, and I do know the backstory of that and the problems that can bring as well. So I'm also super cautious about that.
Lyor, with the lessons you've learned from 300 Entertainment and all of your experience seeing a young, hungry kid with 600,000 Facebook followers, does that make you pay a little bit more attention, also having heard the music and knowing the guy?
Yeah, I think it's certainly the ability to communicate and rally your fans around your music, because you're going to need to rally them in order to create action to get an opportunity to get on radio, because pop music needs radio. So that your ability to have so many fans, number one, you have to listen to them.
Absolutely.
So they'll help you vet when you're actually hitting the right note and the right record. And once you have the right record, and you're going to be able to point and shoot them, and you don't have to point and shoot them in a shotgun effect, but in a very narrow effect, to even if it's just to get one radio station playing the record and see if that becomes sticky. And I think that's how you build a story. And we're all looking for stories. We're all looking for an artist that we could pick up based on some traction that they're starting to get somewhere around the world. We, at 300, felt that Australia was a wonderful breeding ground for important talent. I've had a lot of success going back all the way to Jet. And I just feel like there's something in the water in Australia, that music, you know, they are, you know, I look at England as, if you cut a British person open, they bleed music. You cut a French person open, they may bleed cinema. But so I feel the same way with Australia. Australia, music is such a critical part of their, you know, identity, that we're always looking for that little blip in the radar of one of the stations starting to play, social media starting to gain traction. And it doesn't take that much, but it, you know, it's an important part of the puzzle.
And the spotlight is on Australia and New Zealand. New Zealand, of course, with Lord having a number one. Very, very rare for a Kiwi act to have a number one. So the spotlight really is on this part of the world right now.
Yeah, I just wish the radio network would play more developing acts, so they could percolate some more acts.
Yeah, but we all wish that. Let's talk a little about the arrangement in the creation of the video we just saw, and you'll be debuting a video in just a moment.
Yes.
The very first time in this room.
Yes, super excited about that.
Hey.
So how did this relationship between yourself and YouTube come about?
Yeah, well, my manager's presented me with this idea, I guess, of collaborating with YouTube on a video in the YouTube space in Sydney. And we had the opportunity to film. I think we had 4 hours there, and we decided that we were going to do closure. And we sat in a room and we elaborated on the idea that how cool would it be if we could, use these spaces all around the world and kind of document my life and it coming up on YouTube, and use that as a platform to promote and to cross-pollinate with my other social medias, get them across there. So they're amazing, and they've been super supportive. And to be honest with you, the video probably wouldn't have happened this quickly if it wasn't for them. And as you said, we're about to debut the new record, which is Figure It Out, which we haven't played anywhere, so I'm super excited for that. But we just came back from Mumbai. We did the space up there, which was super unique, super different, but we got the feel, we got the right vibe, I feel, and it's really cool. Yeah, super excited. They're amazing.
Do you want to give it a spin?
I do. Let's do it.
Let's play it.
On my way downtown, AC on high from the heat. Leave the car, head into the hotel. There's a new wave sound from Miami on repeat. See you standing there by the stairwell, and I'm wondering what you're drinking. You wondering what I'm thinking, 'cause I've looked for too long and reckon. Oh, girl, your body's like a maze. I could get lost in you for days. So if there's any way for me to leave with you, I wanna figure it out. You keep playing with your phone, but girl, you shouldn't be alone. So if there's any way for me to leave with you, I wanna figure it out. There's a trace of indigo blue across your neck, from the dim moonlight in your under. County goes with those silver dial lines in your hair. Yeah, wait a second, you're coming over. We start talking, the plot thickens, moves fast and we switch locations. You're just what my life's missing. Oh, girl, your body's like a maze. I could get lost in you for days. So if there's any way for me to be with you, I wanna figure it out. Don't know where you're calling home, but girl, you shouldn't be alone. So if there's any way for me to be with you, I wanna figure it out. Can you just listen? I'm wondering what you're thinking. Maybe we could go the distance. No, girl, your body's like a maze. I could get lost in you for days. So if there's any way for me to be with you, I wanna figure it out. Girl, you're everything I want, and we shouldn't be alone. So if there's any way for you to feel it too, I wanna figure it out. I wanna figure it out. I wanna figure it out. I wanna figure it out.
Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
World premiere.
World premiere.
How does it feel?
It feels special. Thank you for sharing that with me, everybody. That was cool.
But clearly, you're an internationalist in this video. You could be a kid from anywhere, and the music is produced by the Kennel in Sweden.
Correct. Yes. So I'm lucky enough with the team that I'm working with now to be able to use the facilities of the Kennel out of Sweden, which is amazing. They've got hit writers that just write bangers, and I'm lucky enough to be able to work with them. The guy that co-produced this record and the first single, Freddie, was obviously the guy that did Paris by the Chainsmokers, and he's also had some success up here, and he's growing day by day. So I'm very lucky to be able to work with him, and we gel well. So there's more songs coming, obviously, but yeah, I'm super fortunate to be able to tap into that world, and I think that's where it comes into play with pop music, is that it is expensive to do. It's expensive to write, it's expensive to produce, it's expensive to get that level of shine, I think they call it, that is required to punch through. And yeah, I've got these guys working with me that I think are top notch. They're really cool.
That's really great. One other thing I remembered while watching that video, one of the ways that if you want to remain independent, as long as possible, is making sure that, like I said, listen to the fans, and they're going to let you know if that record really resonates or not before you actually have to go and spend a shit ton of money promoting it and marketing it.
Correct.
And what I would recommend is just keep feeding that fan base, making them feel special, and you're gonna know when they feel like you have one, and that's when you could deploy the capital, which is probably really dear.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you.
And Lyor, with your experience in this business, how should Tom and his team get a hold of that capital with which to deploy, if that's the next stage?
I really don't know. Everybody has different sources of capital. They could be rich, for all I know.
It helps.
And so I feel that this pop game is not for the lighthearted. You have to either find the capital or go sign, most likely to a major label, and make sure that you have a good head of steam going into that major label,
Yep.
that you have a good priority there, that they actually spend not only the money but make the time and the effort.
Absolutely.
So let's lift the curtain a little bit on this pop business and talk about brand activation. And you have done some of this. So this
Yeah.
feeds into my question about how to get the money. You've done some brand activation. Can you explain what you did and how it came about?
Absolutely. I mean, so it all comes back, I guess, to social media and where your numbers are at on all those platforms. But Emma was I keep stumbling on this word. What is that word? Integral. Integral in that process to find the right branding that is, something I believe in. That's really strong. I won't do something that I don't believe in. What's the point in that? But they're great. They bring in income. You get to, it's advertisement. They're paying you, and it's advertisement in itself, which is really great. I did some work with Coca-Cola launching their new Coke No Sugar last year. This year. We also did some HP stuff and some Cadbury stuff. So yeah, it's been really cool, and it's cool to, I guess, access that world, which is different. I just like spreading my my way of around things. It's really cool. It's cool to experience different things, new things.
Yeah, I think utilizing a brand and maybe their capital and their needs and everything like that, that's also one source of gaining traction, gaining capital, and focus. You never know how it's done.
Absolutely, and I think it does come back down to YouTube and how you were saying, put it to the audience first and see how they vibe it, and that's a massive part of what YouTube's doing with us now is we're making the videos, we're putting it to the fans first. We're not, going out with massive radio campaigns, although radio are playing it. Yeah. We're not going out with that integral idea.
I think that's smart.
We want to know what the fans think, and it's been a kind of a cool response so far.
I like the idea that YouTube is giving access to their studios and all their equipment, and helping developing artists find their voice and developing their product. I think it's very cool.
It's amazing.
I like it.
Well, that means you're getting into the space of developing original content, which is very interesting. And of course, Netflix does very well in investing its war chest in creating original content, much of which is Stranger Things. Some of these shows have become enormously popular. Are we going to see YouTube do more and more?
So YouTube is investing in original content, both in front of the paywall and behind the paywall. And we have an incredible team around the world. In fact, I stopped in Japan on the way here and met one of the originals, people in charge of the region. super cool, had amazing ideas, and have some really wonderful shows being shot right now. So, yes.
And there is another video coming soon. Can we talk about that?
There is. Yeah, well, we're off to Jakarta next week. I'm flying to Jakarta, which is going to be super cool. I've got a lot of fans in Jakarta, so that's going to be amazing. I've been around the Philippines, but I haven't actually been to Jakarta, so it's going to be really cool to kind of touch base with that side of things. But yeah, we're going up there and we're doing some videos. I think we're doing like 7 or 8 videos with different influencers up there. I've always kind of wanted to enter into the realm of influencer. Not that it comes 100% naturally to me, but I think it's interesting, I think it's cool, and I think I have something to say. And that's what makes it super, I guess, interesting for me. So yeah, we're heading up to Jakarta, we're doing videos with influencers, and that's really cool. But yeah, there's definitely more music to come. Manila is coming up as well.
Is Emma on your team teach you how to be an influencer, or how have you learned how to best utilize YouTube and the various social?
You know what? I think the best thing that Emma's taught me is that, you know, you can't really teach someone to be an influencer. You can only, you know, work on what you've got. I think if you were to teach someone to be an influencer, it would be fake, and that defeats the purpose of being an influencer, you know. And there are people out there that pull the wool over people's eyes, and I don't like it. So, but yeah, we're working really closely on getting good content. You know, this is all about, with YouTube, documenting, I guess, the road to hopefully success, and that's, you know, I think going to be really cool. And I think we've been trying for a while to find a niche of what do people want to watch apart from music videos. What do they want to watch me do? You know, I love theme parks. They'll see a lot of that. Much to my management's joy. Everywhere I go, I'm like, I want to go to a theme park. But you know, interesting content. You know, and I think that's what I want to watch in bed at night. Yeah.
Well, look, the nature of this particular session is mentoring. So before I throw to the floor for questions, and I trust there are some questions. We've got these great speakers up here. So a couple of minutes from now, we'll go to the audience with some questions. But Lyor, if you have any suggestions on how this passionate young artist could set his goals, or how he ought to go about the next phase of his career.
So, one, he has people that believe in him and are hugely competent. Check. He has developed a relationship with his audience and growing it. Check. He's believes that and understands how critical in his space songs are, and found a great writing team and production team. Check. He's obviously determined because it's not been the easiest path. He's prepared to, he has a real authentic love for performing and being a musician. Check. He's prepared to do the hard work. Check. So I think it's all of, I personally, I haven't seen you perform, so, but my presumption is that over the years you've done enough, because that's really a craft that the more you do it, the better you become. I just think that the most important thing he could do is find a hit record and be patient enough not to blow his load until that record shows up. That's patience is, you don't get too many shots of spending $500,000, $1 million on a record, which is essentially what it costs, okay? A single. You don't get that many chances. So you have to be patient enough, have a relationship with a fan base that he's built, listen to them, and man, good luck on everything.
Thank you so much. Cool. It's an honor to meet you, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Does Tom need, you mentioned the hit record, does he need to worry about the hit album?
I don't believe in albums. only in very small certain instances. You know, I know that's not a popular thing because of the love affair of an album, but if you actually go and track the DNA of an album, it was a business person who said, this 45, if I pour some more wax on it, I could make it a 33 and I could charge more money. So that's the reason why an album happened. There are artists that love to have a cinematic type of expression, and that's great for them. But I believe that the digital world is a liberating world, not just for consumers, but also for artists, that they don't necessarily have to put out albums. And I think you're going to see the evolution of that happening. So,
Well, we saw with Troye Sivan, his first 2 hits were EPs.
Yes.
So maybe we can think smaller. There was a time when every kid wanted to do a double album, a concept album, a la Pink Floyd, The Wall, and now we're doing EPs, and maybe EPs.
I think that once he has numerous hits under the belt and a fan base, that's when he could maybe create an album at that time. But I don't think it's necessary at all. You do want to put out enough songs that when you charge X number of dollars, you could actually perform enough songs for them to sing along for, an hour and a half, 2 hours. So
I'm frantically trying to take down notes of what you're saying here because it's very interesting. Going back to the hit, there is, of course, a connection with some of these brands we spoke of. And you can parlay into those brands with the relationship and hopefully get synchronization deals.
Absolutely. Conrad being a big one with Coke. I know Conrad well, and he was very happy with that sync. It can be massive. And, if you can find the right record that fits with the right branding, I think that's amazing, and it's a marriage waiting to happen, but it has to be right, and the artist and the company have to be willing to back that 100%. But yeah, definitely, for sure.
So we have roughly 10 minutes left in this session. So I would suggest now is the time to ask some questions. There must be some questions in the audience.
Go ahead, David.
Who has a question to ask? Everyone has come here to learn. Maybe we've given all the information that you could possibly need. I don't believe that. Questions. There has to be one question. We have a question here.
Hi. Hello. I'm Kelvin. I live in Hong Kong. I'm a producer from London. This is kind of going to be more. Lyor's his career is something I've followed quite closely for a long, long time. I have huge respect for a lot of what he's I think, and if anyone's not aware of the vast aspect, go and do your research. But my question would be, when you're looking at for example, a new artist that you're about to sign, whether it be a hip hop artist or anyone like that, you mentioned obviously about you want somebody who's got the drive, the energy, the fight. But actually, what would be when you're about to launch, you've got that artist, you've got the first thing. Now, an artist in this time and day, what would you be looking for now? The first thing for them to do, a springboard. Maybe, like he said, he's got his a few fans on MySpace, on YouTube. That's showing my age.
Sorry. We're going back.
He did have a lot of fans on MySpace.
I had MySpace on Idle.
That's showing my age. On YouTube, on Instagram, the rest of it, Twitter. But like he said, he had some brand sponsorship. But if you haven't got that, what's the first way you can really kick off an artist? If we're not looking at albums, we're looking at singles. How would you punch an artist out, a brand new artist?
So I'm not entirely sure exactly what the question is, but I'm going to try to answer it. So I've always had a very arrogant approach to A&R. Like, I don't really pay attention, except for I want to find a unique tonal quality and a unique flow and something that is signature based. So that's something that I love. I don't really pay attention to all the stats and stuff like that because I'm actually feel like I'm early mining as opposed to always, I try to find them a bunch of different ways, but my true passion is early mining, where it's maybe very few fans or social media or whatever, but there's just some sort of, if you look at the artists that I've signed, you'll hear characters and voices and flows that are different. And that's because I really feel like when you listen to radio and it feels like one song, and then all of a sudden something kind of abrasive but kind of good after a second listen, and kind of special after the third listen, and oh my God, I gotta have that the fourth listen. That's very exciting to me. It's hard because this industry swims like fish. Something's working, so everybody tries to do that something working kind of thing. And I've always been a contrarian aesthetic person, and so I try to find something that would be, like I said, kind of abrasive, or you could change the word maybe kind of special to some. So that's how, just sticking out above the clutter of talent.
Any more questions from the audience? There's one down here.
This is questions for Mr. Lyor. You mentioned a while ago that there was a difference between promoting a hip-hop artist and a pop artist. Could you elaborate more on that, more than just being the contrarian?
Okay, so typically you could start a hip-hop artist in a particular DMA. So DMA being a city. If Atlanta is a hotbed, and you could actually go to the streets in Atlanta and start promoting in the strip clubs, at the late nightclubs, in the overnight DJ section, just to start lubricating the record and getting the record started. So you don't get that type of access with pop. Pop is usually the biggest radio station, so every single song on that, they're selling Pepsi. The station that's playing the rap record is selling a car rim. Okay, so one is a really expensive radio station, and so every song is critical. In a rap station, it's less critical, and you give more opportunity to play new music. And so that's why pop radio actually doesn't play that many new songs. So there's a real tightness of access that has much more access for rap records. Plus, there's more focused evening clubs where you could hit the DJ off and start getting the records spun inside the club. So there's just a lot of less expensive, cheaper work that could be done with formats around pop Does that make any sense to you?
That does.
Okay.
Thank you.
We have time for one more question. Is there one more? Who's the lucky last? Done here.
Thank you. Hi. Sorry, let me figure out how to phrase this.
You won't hurt my feelings.
Okay. Has there ever been a situation where you think that you have the plan, you figured out how you're going to sell an artist or a musician, but it just didn't quite hit the mark? Are there any critical lessons that you've learned from those situations?
I stay numb with the numerous times that I had a great song, a great artist, a great plan, and it didn't work. I still feel numb right now. The numerous times that that's happened to me. Because, you know, number one, I've let down the artist. I've let down the company. I've used up credibility because, you know, I've forced people to play it. I insisted on, you know, you have to be tenacious and you have to be a big believer. So you can't say, hey, what do you think of my record? You have to go, this is the best, dopest record on the planet. You got to play it. And so when it doesn't come through, you know, you get into a numb, like, painful state. What do you learn from it? So my mother had 4 boys, and she said that every time she gave birth, it was extremely painful, but she kept doing it over and over and over again because you forget about the pain. I never forget about the pain, but I reload because I just feel like part of my purpose was to break artists. And so if I give up because of that numbness and sadness and just, you know, you have to really embrace, you know, remember, most artists, unfortunately, aren't successful. And you just have to endure the pain of being wrong and just trying to forget about it and go forward. There's no cookie cutter on success. It may happen with a sync. It may happen with a feature. It may happen because you are in the conference and bumped into, you know, the head playlisting guy from Spotify, or you meet a YouTube Spaces person that gives you access to shoot it. You just never know how it works out. And that's what's so magnificent about this industry is there's just, I always tell people what we try to find is the mutant mistake that just happens. And so that's, you have to have enough wins to keep fueling the difficult moments of getting it wrong. Thank you, everyone, for...
thank you so much.
Thank you. So we'll wrap this up now. You mentioned earlier, Lyor, that you would need to see Tom perform. Well, you might get your chance because you're playing tonight.
I am.
Yay, yay.
Yeah,
Okay.
plug. Yes, tonight.
What time?
I'm on at 8:50 down
Okay,
at
beautiful.
Aussie Barbecue.
At the Australian Barbecue.
That's the one.
8:50 at the Australian Barbecue.
That's the one.
Let's go watch Tom.
Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Thank you. Thank you.